Recorded live in Balcatta, Western Australia, the Hoon capital of the world. This is Talkin' Power.
Gap is what happens when you hold to the floor and crush the man next to you. There's space in between your back bumper and your front bumper. We in the South we refer to it as the gap band.
Well, I think Formula One is for grown-ups.
So, what about the sideways? You've got a race in your own lane. Now he's on the grass, he brings it back. That's a great driving there.
Torque and Power, your motoring and motorsport podcast.
All right, welcome to episode 26. Can you believe it? Episode 26. I am Nick DiCembri, and I'm with co-host Simon Gonzo Travellini. This is the Talk and Power podcast, 26.
Now, I want to start by apologising for my informal attire and running a bit late.
No, you look fine.
My baby boy spewed up all over me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he seems to, for whatever reason, he prefers to spew up on me than his mum. although she did say that he spewed up on her as well. So for those of you that don't have children, immunisation is pretty much compulsory these days.
Yeah.
And part of the immunisation is they give them this living biological virus, the rotunda or something.
That's it. Yep.
Something like that. And basically, if you get any of their feces in any way on you,
Yeah.
you will suffer badly, as I have the last few days.
I remember that, actually. I remember them telling us about that as well when we had kids. So.
Yes, it's nasty stuff. So, Nick, it was a big weekend for elections.
For elections?
Yeah, we had 3 big elections.
We did, yeah. Sorry, I didn't know we were going down that path tonight, but there you go, yeah.
I always try and take you on
You did. You
magical
did.
mystery tours.
So it's interesting, South Australia has changed government after 16 years.
Well, I was going to say, out of those 3 elections, we all know that one of them was rigged.
Which one was that?
Well, the South Australian one. Surely you're not suggesting that the Russian election was rigged. But I don't know if you know the story with the South Australian election. As you know, the outgoing Mr. Wetherill, he's not Premier anymore, he's just Mr. Wetherill.
Yep.
And he made that quite clear that he is a civilian.
Yep.
But he's still elected. I understand how he's a civilian. But anyway.
All right. Well, tonight we're doing something a little bit different. I put a post out on Facebook about, a couple of hours ago and asked for some questions. If you had any questions, put them in the comments.
I thought we were going to start with the MotoGP.
We are. We're not going to, but I'm just so our listeners, they stay on board.
Oh, because I was going to say, speaking of missiles. Anyway.
Sorry, that segue was too good to be true.
You just killed it.
That's dead. Look, we had our first race from Qatar in the MotoGP. What an awesome race it was, I must say. Only because Ducati won, I guess. What we're saying that.
Isn't it amazing that they've had this off-season, right? Rule changes, and it feels like we're just into the next round after the last round of last season.
well, this round was almost a carbon copy of 3 rounds we had last year as well. We had Dovizioso and Marquez swapping paint on the last corner, and it was so tight. I actually thought Marquez had him, but the Ducati went on the inside and had the run down to the finish line, basically. So
Dovi.
Good to see him win. It was a bit of a late race for us in Western, or even in the eastern states would have even been later. So Qatar at night time, really interesting that the tyre degradation, I think, became an issue for a number of riders, to be honest.
Do you know what the track temp was?
No, I don't. No.
Because, I mean, there's 2 things that are going to... Well, there's 3 things that are going to really chop your tyre. The first thing is the actual finish of the track.
Yep.
The smoother the track, the more rubber that's on it, the better it's going to be on the tyre, I would imagine. I'm just thinking theoretically here. Obviously, the more corners are going to wear the tyre, right? And heat has got to play into it. Yeah. So the surprising one out of this was
Yeah,
Zarco.
yeah.
Early lead, like we've seen him do so many times. Great starter, but you would think that by now, everyone talks about how good he is at conserving the tyres, but he always seems to end up at the end of the race with no tyre.
The tyre really fell off the wall for him, really at a great rate of knots, and it was disturbing. It was actually, it was really disappointing to see him go out like that. Actually, to be honest, so quickly.
So for those that don't know, Dovizioso Ducati number 1,
yep.
Marc Marquez Honda number 2, our man Valentino Rossi.
Really close third. He was probably 2 or 3 bike lengths behind.
Yeah,
Yep.
First and second was like a half a length, wasn't it?
If that.
I'm
probably being over ambitious saying half a length. I don't even reckon.
A tyre.
It was a bugger all
Half
in
a
it.
tyre.
Yeah. And it was good to see Crutchlow up there.
Yeah,
as well.
Carl Crutchlow fourth on the Honda,
yeah. And Petrucci in fifth.
Yeah. So great result for Ducati, and great result for Honda as well.
Yeah, no, it was good to see, and we're off to a great start, the Dukes. So it was a good way to start the season.
So,
NHRA.
you want to talk about the NHRA?
No, we can talk about
No, we'll talk about the NHRA.
The only reason why I talk about the NHRA was it was a fair bit happening at the NHRA. We had our boy, good Australian boy, Richie Crampton, won in Top Fuel. Went up against the boss's nephew in round 1. That was a really close race. Super tight. But his round 2 and round 3, they were a bit of a fizzo.
This is the Coletta team, yeah?
Yeah. So he's driving for Coletta now and come up against Dougie in round 1 and got the win there.
I know you want to get on talking about Pro Mod, so let's...
Yeah, no. Well, before we get to Pro Mod, a big shout-out also to Hector Arana Jr., 200 mile an hour, first in Pro Stock bike ever.
Oh, that's crazy.
So,
those guys have suffered for so long with the rules. They've always gotten a bad deal out of the rules.
Yeah.
They're on the Buells, I believe.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, the Harleys get... they should be the same thing, really.
Yeah.
But the Harleys get some rule advantage for some reason. So that's great. That's great for them too. Big milestone Pro Stock motorcycle, Big milestone.
Yeah. In funny car, Jack Beckman won over Matt Hagan. The interesting thing about Nitro Funny Car was the amount of explosions. So John Force, 3 events in a row, blown it sky high, and sent the body off the chassis.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 events in a row. So
have they figured out what is causing it?
No, they haven't. And the funny thing was Matt Hagan also came up against Robert Height, and they had 2 engine failures side by side, and that actually made for some great photography, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's all it made.
Sometimes it can be component failure, like they're following a trend. So a while back in Top Alcohol, this is in Australia, and Top Alcohol and Top Door Slammer, they went to these really lightweight intake valves.
Yep.
And they, had a lot of failures, like a lot of engines dropping valves. Now, on an alcohol engine, it's, still put the panel out, but on a nitro engine, you don't want drop the intake valve. But it'd be interesting to see if the NHRA puts out a press release or,
Yeah, so, and, so... Pro Mod, we had Stevie Fast and Mike Castellana qualified 1 and 2. Mike was number 1, Stevie Fast number 2. So they...
You would expect that this time of the year because the air's good.
Yeah. This was in Florida too, so reasonably warm. Well, given though it's winter over there, it's still...
It's still going to be cooler than,
of course.
The middle of summer.
Yeah. But Stevie, our boy Stevie, went out in the second round against Chad Green. He's got a nitrous Corvette, lost to him in the second round. And Castellana went into the semis, but lost against the Ricky Smith. So
two nitrous cars took out 2 blown cars.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Yep. So we had Mike Janis and Ricky Smith in the final of Pro Mod. Ricky Smith went on to win in that. Ricky Smith also announced new sponsorship this week, Bahrain 1 Racing, so his car is looking even more like Stevie Fast.
Yeah, Steve's car looked like Ricky Smith's car from day dot. Yeah. Now they must look identical.
Yeah. So it's
So how cool is this, right? You've got turbocharged cars. You've got supercharged cars. You've got nitrous cars, right?
Yeah, did you see that? Yeah.
So the qualifying, number one, Mike Castellano, 575 with a 3, right? Number 16, okay, because they run a 16-car field over there, right? Pete Farber, Dodge Daytona, right? So once again, million different body styles in Pro Mod. 587 with a 5.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I've got to be honest with you, I cut out the 16, 17 down, but they were fairly tight. Even I cut it out, I didn't put them on the notes, but it was fairly tight even below
just over a tenth of a second spread out over 16 cars. Yeah. That is just how close the competition is there. And to think how many different body styles, how many different engine combinations, and how many different types of power adders, isn't that just unbelievable?
Oh, I think it's amazing.
Incredible.
I think they're on top of their game, the NHRA, and the teams are on top of their game as well.
Of course, of course. And hence why we have so many NHRA crew chiefs tuning
coming to Australia.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. These days, if you want to run in Door Slammer, you need to have an American car, an American crew chief, an American suspension guy, an American tuner, American tune-up, American pump, American engine. Well, what you're better off doing is just getting one of those teams, flying them over here, and then hiring the drive. I guess that would be a cheap one.
Do you reckon immigration have probably made a new box on the form saying Door Slammer tune up and tick here?
You know, if you can't get a green card in America as a drag racer.
Oh, really?
No, you can't. Okay, but I wonder whether you can 456 visa.
I don't know how those guys are doing it.
Crew chief.
Another good news story, the Gator Nationals, they actually had a record crowd there on the Saturday. It was a lockout, or whatever they call a lockout.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It was. So it's really good to see that a record crowd in front of Pro Mod. That really excites me, actually.
See? Donald Trump. He's made drag racing great again.
Making it great again. So, yeah, that was really, really good thing to see.
Do you reckon it's because they ran Pro Mod? Get rid of Pro Stock. Pro Stock needs to go.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually, but I'm not close enough to the situation.
It needs to go. It just needs to go. You know.
Tanner Gray actually won the final in Pro Stock.
Did he?
Over Bo Butner. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're very rich, the Gray family, aren't they?
They are, yeah. Super wealthy.
Yep. And he's got his own engine development program.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But his dad used to drive Nitro Funny cars.
That's correct, yeah.
See, really, in the whole scheme of things, Nitro is just too expensive. Because, you know, I had a discussion with a well-known engine builder who, you know, does a lot of Nitro stuff. And I said, why don't they just build the engine stronger? You know, because the thing is, when they detonate or they drop cylinders, they squash bearings, they push head gaskets out, blah, blah, blah. And the reality is that it doesn't matter how strong you make it, it's just going to find the next weakest thing, or it's going to, you know, explode so dramatically that it'll kill people and so on. So maybe it's time to put Nitro away.
Yeah.
You know, alcohol's pretty fast.
It is, and it's interesting to see with these engine blow-ups what the cause of that is in those funny cars. It's been quite.
And we can go back to running the full quarter mile instead of this 1,000-foot
1,000-foot
thing, which just the times don't make any sense anymore.
No, nothing makes sense in 1,000-foot. We can get the 8th mile thing, but with the 1,000-foot.
Oh, come on! I don't want to see it go to 8th, please.
No, I'm not suggesting that, but I think
that's what's going to happen.
There's a following for 8th mile in certain.
It's cheaper to build the track.
But I can get the 8th mile thing, but I'm not getting the 1,000-foot thing.
We go back to racing at Ilanthia Street.
All right, Jamboree. I made a call out to the people at Jamboree and Sydney Raceway today to get some details on Jamboree. Up as we record this, there's still not a lot of info out there. I know the crowd didn't look great. I wasn't there, but it was an awfully hot day in Sydney on the weekend. Very hot.
Was it?
Yep.
Jeez, it couldn't have been too bad. Old Rigoli just smashed the RB.
Yeah, so
you know what RB stands for all of our import listeners that run the trusty Nissan motor, stands for Rigoli Brothers.
Okay, there you go. So he was driving Billy Rahab's, is that how you say
Yeah,
it?
Billy Rajab. Yeah,
Rajab, yep.
yeah.
His 300 ZX, and 70. The 670.
670 at 209.
Yeah, that was pretty
So,
awesome effort.
so apparently, so the story goes, Anthony Matuk has conceded defeat.
Yep.
Right? But he made an interesting comment saying that it took Dom 3 years to beat him. And I'd just like to clarify that. That it didn't take Dom 3 years to beat him. Dom had already run quicker than him 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And he'd only had the car going for, 12 months or so. So, sorry, Anthony, but you're wrong. Now, the thing is, this car is a steel roof and quarter panel, factory firewall, factory strut tower. So this is actually legal for, I think the class is called Osmod.
Okay.
Right, Andrew class, where you need to retain the strut towers, the firewall. I'm pretty sure that is a second under the index.
Yeah, okay.
So for all the super stock races and comp races and super comp and sports compact, etc., Andrew races and IHRA, I guess it's Sydney races, you better hope that he doesn't decide to run this. The actual history of the car, I couldn't honestly tell you. I know that the boys have only had it for like a couple of years. It is still Billy's car.
Yep.
And basically, Billy owns a panel shop, right? So he carted the car up to Sydney. It was built. The actual chassis was built by John Lang, which is. I think Fab 9's the name of his business. I've dealt with him before. He's a pretty cool dude.
Yep.
And the boys have made some changes to it, a few changes here and there. And it was just been finding a balance between the horsepower, making it reliably, which they have now. I think they've done the last 10 passes, 8 of have been consistently in the sixes and not like 699, like 680s and quicker type thing. So, I'd say that they've got a really good handle on it now, and they still have a fair bit left to wind into it, I reckon.
Yeah. If you're listening, get onto Tony Rigoli's Facebook page and watch the video from there. There's some great in-car footage, and this is amazing how straight that car went. I'm not taking anything away from Dom. Was Dom driving or Tony?
Dom.
Yeah. I don't want to
Tony's
take
the dad.
Yeah. I don't want to take anything away from him, but the car just drove so straight. It was really quite impressive to see. The probably outstanding performance was Jeremy Martin in his VB Commodore with a 598 in his Proline powered Commodore. Now that car is, you're telling me it's been around for a while. I don't remember actually seeing it before. Is it in different carnation?
No. When did I say that?
Okay.
No,
I saw it somewhere, but
no. I just what I was saying is okay. So we're gonna sidetrack here. Okay, so Po Tung,
yes,
the Grudge King, he is having an event. When is it, Nick?
14th of July.
14th of July. Now, this is one of probably, arguably, the greatest thing to happen to Australian drag racing ever. Full stop. No ifs, no buts.
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially what Poe is proposing is an 8. So I think the date's locked in, but the actual final rules aren't locked in yet.
Open for public commentary.
On his Facebook page.
That's correct.
So
yeah.
Grudge King's Facebook page?
That's correct.
Right. Okay, so you can go and check it out. So basically, what he's proposing is an 8th mile race, right? 50 grand pot, $50,000. I'm not talking about 50,000 lire.
Pistachio nuts.
50,000 Australian dollars. That is a lot of money. I mean, that is what we should be paying for, door slammer, and not for top alcohol. There's no suspension. There's no parts attrition on an alcohol car. But anyway, it's the sort of money we should be racing for. It's the sort of money they race for in America.
That's correct,
right?
yeah.
101,000 at Don Long's
the Sweet 16.
Sweet 16. Big thing. Well and truly worth driving across a Nullarbor, right? And the rules that he has proposed so far is basically the Street Outlaw rules, which are a steel roof and steel quarter panels.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure whether the Paul Mahoyat, the orange Mustang, the old 10.5 car, I don't know whether that's steel roof or quarter panels. I don't know.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he crashed the car at the Jamboree event. Did go 6-0.
Yep.
So, the car has run 5s, I believe.
Yeah, that's gone 5s, that one,
Right.
quite comfortably.
But I believe Jeremy, the Jet Martin, I believe that VB is steel roof and quarter panels, right? John Zappia's old car, Zapp's Rat, because the one he drives now is Crusher, it's chopped, but it's still steel roof and quarter panels.
When you say old car, it's not that old, is it? It's only from his car that he had 7 or 8 years ago? Because he changed to Crusher.
Yeah, he changed to Crusher. I think that's been going, well, I don't know. Yeah, probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was the new...
Yeah, it was the new... He changed...
Incarnation.
The new incarnation was 2000 or 2001. So that one was definitely steel quarters, and I think he ran that for a while.
Yeah, for a long... It was the first 5-second car.
Yeah.
So that's steel roof and quarters, right? And my BA. And I reckon that is the quickest... That list that I've just given you are the quickest cars in this country that are eligible. Right,
Yours has got too much steel, if you want my opinion.
What, steel doors, steel
Yours is
boot?
steel everything.
Well, at least when we show up there, they're not going to argue.
Standard headlights and tail lights in yours as well.
It has got standard
Sorry,
tail
I
lights work.
digress, but yours got a lot of steel.
So, I actually rang John today, right? He was leaving to go to Adelaide, right? And we wish him all the best of luck.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting this round.
Yeah.
Because the Western Nationals, that track, I've run at every track in Australia except for Alice Springs and Darwin. And I would have to say, without a doubt in my mind, that the Perth surface is the flattest, smoothest, most easy to prepare track in the country, easily, right? Adelaide, she's a bit of a goat track. Now, I'm not saying that Billy and the boys haven't run on goat tracks, right? Because anyone that ran a PDRL or ADRL would have had to have run on a goat track at some stage or another. But it's going to be very interesting to see how they go because, it's not your typical... And it used to be... Adelaide used to be the best track in Australia. It was like a sheet of glass.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's quite that good anymore.
When you say Billy, you're referring to Billy Stockland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Zapp is currently 40 points behind. So he told me that, he's not stressing at the moment. He's got a long-term plan. So we'll see what happens. But
I don't want to take... We'll just quickly touch on it then. So it's, Paul Moyet on 494 points, John Zappi on 454. There's a significant jump down to Frankie Taylor at 289. But next round is, as you said, this weekend, 23rd and 24th in Adelaide, and then they move over to Sydney on the 3rd and 4th of May, and Willowbank. This is Door Slammer I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pro Slammer.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, you're right. The Americans are probably... I don't know. Used to Adelaide, that they're going to tune that
Well,
car.
the thing is, I know what you can do with a planetary drive transmission. You can't do that with one of them. So on the shift with a planetary drive, right, you can cushion it. Okay, you can actually bleed the air in and make it slide through the gear shift. With a Liberty transmission, which is a dog box basically, right, you can't do that. So you need to do it with the timing, right? The problem with doing it with the timing is that you can unsettle the suspension.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Hey, look, that guy's pretty smart. And, at the last round of the Western Nationals, I mean, they had half of the Pro Mod, half of Pro Mod working on that car. I think Todd Tuttle was working on the rear end, so... Mate,
actually, you raise an interesting point there. We're saying that they're going to come here. I don't think they are. They'll be tuning by mobile. They're not in the position to come. Those guys, I would have thought. Just talking out. I'm thinking out loud here. Sweet 16's on the same weekend.
Trust me, right? No matter what anyone is paying them, Moits will be paying them more.
We'll have to watch this space. If we got some listeners out there that know, I just can't imagine them coming here this
telling
weekend.
you now that even if they had to hire lawyers to get them out of contract, they're leading the points, Nick. They're not gonna give up that points lead.
Well, Todd definitely. Oh, sorry, hang on a sec. Todd or Ty, they definitely can't come because they're entered in Sweet 16.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So they're not coming. And be really surprised if Mark was able to come as well. Savage, that is. Anyway, we'll watch this space.
I don't think Mark would, because Mark's a long-time crew member of Steve. Hey, but Billy probably, he might even still be here. Who knows?
Anyway, we'll have to. If someone can tell us, that would be nice to know. Well, we'll find out in due course.
Anyway, so back to Jamboree. Anyway, so yeah, if anyone's got any ideas about this this event that Poe's going to run, right? So how many cars did I just wrote? You reckon Mahoyat should be able to fix that thing? How bad was the crash?
It looked bad enough that it probably put him out for a couple of weeks, but not. They'll get it done by July.
Yeah, they got plenty of So Mahoyat, Zap, Jeremy Jet Martin. Myself.
Yep.
Who else? Who else has got a steel body car that's run, like a 5 or close to a 5? That's probably it, eh?
Yeah.
If anyone wants to sponsor us...
There was an awkward pause, you may have noticed.
Because I haven't got enough money to make it across the Nullarbor.
We've got all these projects that we need to probably tie off on.
Yeah, but but this is how we do it. Yeah, this is how we've done it for the last 20 years.
Maybe
we start
this takes
something
number one. This goes to number one.
This goes to well, I mean, we were building the X275 car for the meeting that's been cancelled.
Yeah.
So,
look, we got some questions on that as well. So,
with the Po Tung deal, I'd have to get an IHRA tech, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And an IHRA license, I guess. Do I have to go to America to get that? Or can I fly someone over from Sydney to tech the car?
I don't know. That's a good question.
The next question is, right, part of the reason I haven't raced it is I don't have carbon brakes because you need them over 225 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Right? And because I'm only running the 8, do I need carbon brakes?
I don't know.
You
Probably
shouldn't.
not. No,
Probably shouldn't.
I thought so.
You got plenty of braking room there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Watch this space, everyone. We'll have to fill you in on where we're at with that.
So we really want to bring you more information about Jamboree, but we can't.
Yeah, so as I said, I made a call to the track and to the people at Jamboree, and I've yet to hear back. So, the track basically said to contact Jamboree, and we just wanted some results and some stories from the weekend. But yeah, anyway, we move on.
Moving on.
TX2K, roll racing. I don't mind the roll racing thing. I think it's reasonably interesting. They had a huge meet in Texas at the Royal Purple Raceway. Now, if someone ever said to me before this that the Royal Purple Raceway was 4,400 foot long, I would never have believed them in a million years. But there you go, it is. It's 4,400 foot long, so it makes a perfect venue for roll racing.
I'm just doing the maths. I'm doing the maths because you got 1320 is the drag strip.
Yeah, here we can read it out here. The notes. So cars race for 1,500 foot. So we're not talking quarter mile here. We're talking that the cars actually race over 1,500 foot, and they have 2,200 feet to slow down. That gives them 400 foot to stage themselves along their opponent.
If we started from the corner, right, went through the staging lanes,
that's what. To be honest with you, that's what these guys were doing. They were starting like a bit further back in the staging lanes. They weren't starting from where they traditionally start.
The 400 foot mark would be where the bridge is. I tell you wouldn't want to.
No, it wasn't that far back. They were just sort of under the bridge. in respect to our track.
They were starting from just under.
Yeah.
So
So they
but
get-
we could do it here
Yeah, okay.
if we started at the end of the staging lanes, but you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to hit that bridge at 60 mile an hour. Anyway,
The guys from Underground Racing, they're
Underground.
Underground.
Yep.
What did I say? Did I say Underground?
Underground, you did.
Sorry about that.
Which brings us back to our earlier conversation about William Street in the Cross.
Oh, excuse me. The guys from Underground Racing actually won, so they made it to the final, those guys. So, yeah, now Roll Racing is still first to the finish line, not highest speed. So those guys were getting up to 200. The highest speed was 229 mile an hour. Not a bad effort, I thought.
So these are the times that they...
Yeah, their
200
times.
229 mile an hour, nearly 230 mile an hour. But the times are pretty slow.
You're right, over 1,500 foot, given that you're already up to
60 mile an hour.
Or 60 to 65 mile an hour.
8.32.
Yeah.
So pretty much most of the quick street cars, all the radial cars nearly could beat these guys.
Yeah, I know, but I think you're mocking the Lamborghini Brigade probably a bit hard. But I actually like the concept of it, and they had a good live feed on it as well over the weekend. It was quite an interesting
So
event to
all
watch.
4 cars in the semi-final were twin-turbo Hurricanes. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, they were.
Anyway, well, that's I mean, so for those of you that don't follow this, me included, the rules are that these things need to be full street cars.
Yeah.
They have to run treaded tyres. No drag radials are permitted. No fiberglass. No fiberglass. That's ridiculous. The whole car's made out of carbon fibre. How can you say something like that? That's a stupid rule. Whoever makes the rules, you're an idiot. I know we can't allow your Camaro to have a fiberglass bonnet. Even though the Lamborghini is a completely carbon fibre car. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You know what it is? You don't want to be embarrassed by some American muscle. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Anyway, we got Formula One starting this weekend in Melbourne.
Okay, now I like to say something here, Nick. So a lot of drag races, right?
Yeah.
They take the piss out of circuit races. Dom Rigoli, he always says to me, and because he does a lot of circuit racing cars, time attack, etc. And when we get into an argument with one of the races about drag races versus circuit racing, he always says, listen, if you can turn the corner, you're not going fast enough on the straight, right? So that's his philosophy. And many drag racers feel that circuit racers are pussies, right? Formula One now has got them wearing thongs.
Literally, they're literally wearing thongs.
I understand that this halo, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
For those of you that haven't seen, I'm sure Nick's going to post up some photos.
I will.
Right? I saw the practice the other day, and I tell you what, I could not believe I was like, what the hell is... I don't even understand how they can see with that thing in front of them.
Yeah, it is quite intrusive, I must admit.
It looks like they're wearing jocks over the cars. And I actually, look, when I saw it, I thought, geez, that looks like a thong. Like a double plugger. That's what it looked like. And you tell the story, because I can't have a straight face while I just...
Lo and behold, thong manufacturer is Gandhi have come on board the McLaren Formula One team and are sponsoring Fernando Alonso's car this weekend for the Melbourne Grand Prix in the Gandhi.
Okay, so we've seen it with the kids' beds. They have the Formula One kids' beds.
Yeah.
Right? Are we going to see Formula One shaped thongs now?
No doubt. They've already released the special edition thong.
Yeah, but they're trying to do it classy. We need something really
ridiculous.
really,
Lots of beachcombers.
but with the big tyres and that, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no, when I saw that, I said you'd have a chuckle, and I thought some of our listeners would have a chuckle as well.
I was like, oh, what the hell? What? And then I thought it was just one car, some sort of aerodynamic aid. They found that, positioning this dumb thing in front of the driver so he can't see somehow diffuses the air over the window. No, they all had it. They all had it.
Yep, no.
So
new incentive this season.
This is designed so that in case you run into a deer, it deflects it off the driver. Is that correct?
I think it's if you run into a tyre, a bouncing tyre, or if the car was to roll.
For me, if you're going to do this, why don't you put like a jet cockpit like they're using in Top Fuel?
That's exactly right. And a lot of people are saying that.
Even a windscreen.
Yeah.
Just a little windscreen is going to deflect stuff.
Yeah.
It looks ridiculous, right? And, definitely.
They'll only get a year out of this. I can tell you now, this will be 2019. We won't be having this discussion.
But I think it's fantastic the Americans running Formula One, because there's no way in the world that the Europeans would have allowed this.
Nah.
And you've got to wonder whether there's an Australian occupational health and safety person on the team as well. Yeah, I think we're going to need to slow them down.
But I can assure you, I reckon we only see a year of this. I'm almost positive of that.
Have the drivers said anything yet?
I think their commentary has been, like most of the drivers, politically correct and in line with what the Formula One people would want them to say.
All right, so this round is also a points round for the V8 supercars.
That's correct, yeah. Yep.
Now, I'd like to point out, while we're on the subject of the V8 supercars, Channel 10, RPM, have ripped us off. We've got a new segment.
You were telling me about it.
We've got a new segment with Jack Perkins and I don't know who the other guy is, some famous touring car driver, but someone basically talking shit like we do.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And now even Rusty's come along. He's got his own podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, fellas, it's too late. Talking power to the front. We've been doing this for ages. 26 episodes.
26 episodes. Work it out. We're up to... We've been doing this every 2 weeks. 26 times 2 is 52.
Over a year.
We're coming on to a year.
What RPM should have done is hired us.
Yeah, that's right.
Because no one can talk shit as good as we can.
So if you're listening at Channel 10, or anyone's listening that has...
Stakesy needs to do something with 7.
Or Hutchie, Craig Hutchison, Croc Media.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
We need to get him on board.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's taking over SEN.
He's taking over what?
SEN.
What's SEN?
Sports radio station in Melbourne.
Oh.
They need a motoring.
Oh, right. Yeah?
I think we're a good fit for them.
Yeah? We could do it from birth.
Yeah, we don't need to be there.
No.
Yeah. Hutchie. A lot of
we
people
can
reckon I
retain
look
that,
like Hutchie. A lot of people say that I have a striking resemblance to him.
Hoon capital of the world thing,
Now we have Formula E.
That's the electric one, yeah?
That's the electric one.
How's that going?
It's actually quite competitive. John Eric Verne won the latest race. They're up to round 6 already. They actually started, I don't understand, but their 2018 season started in 2017.
Well, see, it's the future, Nick. It's the future. That's why. See, you're not getting it. You're not getting it.
So, anyway, they're up to round 6 already. This was from Uruguay. Jean-Eric Verne and Lucas de Grassi. Well, I tell you what a last lap, these two. You say it was close in the MotoGP. Watch these two in their last lap. I mean, banging, and these cars are, I thought, were reasonably fragile, and I guess they are, but these two were not leaving anything on the table.
Are they allowed to do that?
I don't know. There was no penalty for either of them.
Probably no rules.
Nah. And I was amazed by at the end of the race how close...
Do they look like a Formula One car?
Yeah, similar. They've got more of an opening at the front, so they have 2 wings at the front, one on the top and one on the bottom, and a sort of a void in the middle, so they're getting better downforce. But I was more amazed by how close these cars were at the end of the race. And I thought it was awesome, and I'm really looking forward to the next race. Is actually in Rome. No, it was a really enjoyable thing to watch. It's all online, so get onto the Formula E website. You got to register. Doesn't cost you anything, however, and you can watch it online. You can watch race highlights as well. So I think that's the future, obviously, of sport. Anyway, I mean that's another discussion for another day, but very very interesting. We need to get onto some questions.
Okay.
Did you have something you want to?
No.
We got. So
No,
we.
always get it in early, Nick. always want to start with on the front foot.
Wow, we got quite a few questions here, so we need to get through this. Now we have something we're trying out for this podcast was I put some commentary out on Facebook to ask us your questions. So we've got quite a few here, so we need to really motor right along here. Alex asked, will Zapier be able to beat Moit's crew? Hopefully we'll get another great final. I agree, Alex. I think given the Adelaide surface, as we spoke about before, I think that'll be a good equalising factor for...
Yeah, it's going to be really testing for the Moits team because, when you run at the Motorplex, you're running on... I would have to... And people are going to say I'm biased, right? But to be honest with you, if I'm going to bag a track out, I'm always going to bag the Motorplex, right? Because I've had to deal with the management there. Right?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've raced at all the tracks except for Darwin and Alice Springs.
Yep.
And I would have to say 100% this is the best racing surface in the country, bar none.
Yep.
So to go from that to Adelaide, and I don't know that Adelaide's changed since the last time I was there, it'll be very, very interesting to see, how they go. It'll be very testing on the Moits team. Zap, on the other hand, has raced there on a number of occasions, and I could be wrong, but I think he's undefeated at Adelaide. So this could be an equaliser. They moved to Sydney after that. Now, Sydney, the surface is pretty good, but it is very bumpy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Sydney. Yep. That's on the
and
third
and then
fourth,
Queensland. Now, Queensland was considered the best track in Australia, and they resurfaced it, and it's not really come up to scratch. So you can still run very fast at those two tracks, don't get me wrong, but it's sort of, it'll be interesting to see. Can he do it? We've seen him come from further back than this at this point in the season.
Yeah.
The difference is that these guys are really approaching this problem with a checkbook, which is not something that we've seen in this scale before in this class.
Yeah.
No one has ever come along and thrown this kind of money. We've seen pro stock where they've thrown a lot of money, US engine programs and so on, and US cars, but not door slammer.
Yeah.
We've had some people spend a lot of money, but not to the point of hiring crew chiefs and and that car's got a lot of good gear on it.
Yeah,
So, mate, I can't. I'm hoping that he can, and we're 100% behind. I know Nick and I are both 100% behind Zap, and we wish him all the luck in the world. Because in drag racing, you're better off being lucky than you are good.
Yeah, that's right. Michael asks a couple of questions here, so I will. Can we get? He goes, "Hi guys, great podcast. Here are my few questions. Can we get Dave on Married at First Sight?"
That's really a question for Dave, and you're assuming that there's going to be another series of Married at First Sight.
Simon, I could almost guarantee you, London to a brick, that there will be another series of Married at First Sight. That is one of the most popular shows on TV. Yeah. It's huge. It's a juggernaut. I don't watch it myself, but
I have to watch it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. You see, I don't know if you remember at the wedding the first dance, the song that we chose. It's the Adam Sandler song, and it says in that, I'll even share the remote control. It's called Growing Old with You, for those that don't know. So unfortunately, that is the show that she wants to watch, and that is the trade-off to making her watch Radial racing.
There you go, Michael.
There was a bit of a curveball thrown last night where one of the guys said, "Nah, I don't want to be with you," and then the girl said the same thing, and then they were happy, and I was like, that was kind of weird.
Yeah, okay.
But we can give it a go. I mean, you can certainly, Michael, you can certainly nominate Dave.
Dave, for those that don't know, is the good-looking gentleman that is in our Camry videos. He's single and available.
Very eligible.
Yeah.
Great catch. Yeah. Great catch. Real family guy. So for all those young ladies out there that are looking for a great guy, Dave is available.
Yeah. Michael's second question: Birdman or Stevie for Sweet 16? I'm going with Stevie, of course.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
going
you are
Stevie.
as well,
Stevie is not even. That's not even a question.
Yeah, Michael, what were you thinking?
I know. I know.
Joking, Michael. And his third question: is Blitzed XY going LS like all the other sheep?
That's not even a question. No.
Lady
no
Bird
LS.
has told me it's going LS for Street Outlaws in Perth.
No LS.
No
No,
LS.
well, there's no Street Outlaws now.
Yeah. Now, this is the next question. Is not a question, it's a statement from our good sponsor Jamie at Shift Kits Australia. He says, he doesn't ask a question, he says, if the XY goes LS, I'm pulling my sponsorship of the
Yeah,
Camry.
and so he should.
Yeah.
So he should.
Yeah, so no, Jamie.
On the other hand, if we put an LS in the Camry,
Yeah.
sideways, then, you know.
What are your thoughts on that, Jamie?
Yeah.
Reply to that one, will you?
I'm keen on that.
Our new sponsor, CRD Nitrous. Will you big boys be giving any commentary of the Kenda Radial race in Queensland, as there are a few WA boys heading over there to race?
There is a few WA boys. Well, there is one confirmed WA boy.
So who do we? It's Lorenzo Galotto's going.
Is,
or no?
is he? I don't know.
I don't know
I
if
believe
he's-
Loppo
yeah.
is.
Oh, yeah, Josh. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So it would be. See, the problem that I have with the radial racing in this country is that, you know, like you look at Door Slammer, right? We have to carry another 100 pounds
Yeah.
as opposed to the NHRA, but we can run the screw blower at 106 over. C rotor. D rotor, not
Yep.
the C rotor. D rotor, that's the smaller rotor diameter, the C rotor, as opposed to... So the D rotor is smaller than the C, yes. So they are still fairly comparable, right? And you look at the numbers with Zapier and the Moitz guys in the 60s, you know, it's comparable. You can sort of go, yeah, it's probably a 10th thinner. I mean, Zap's car is a HQ. It's hardly,
Yeah.
you know, aerodynamic deal. When you start talking about the radial racing, it's not comparable.
Yeah.
Now, there are some really cool cars coming online. Scott from M-Tron's involved with a twin-turbo Tirana. They've still got front rails. There's some cars out there. You know, we have this thing in Australia where we keep changing the rules to suit the, you know, once again, the noisy minority. You know, we've seen it happen in Door Slammer where the overhangs got longer and longer and the cars got narrower and lower, and now all these US bodies that, you know, were no way legal before are suddenly legal. You know, and the way the 5-speed transmissions and the lock-up converters and all this stuff, you know. So I don't know that we would be doing Australia any favours if we covered races like that. I think that if we get a serious, even if it's just a 275 class, any class where the rules are the same as the Americans and we're running comparable numbers, then, mate, I'd be 100% behind it.
Yeah.
But at this stage, the only thing that we got to offer is the occasional fuel run, because we still run the quarter mile at you know, some tracks. Our door slammer, you can't argue with the door slammer. The door slammer's as good as it gets. You know, like we're probably spaced, you know, a 1/10 and a half over 8. Right, which is still, when you consider the money that's involved to run these cars and the fact that everything we buy costs twice as much because we're in Australia. So we got the fact that the dollar is down, and the fact that we got to pay 10% GST and the freight. So it works out roughly double. You take that all into consideration, I think that anyone that's running door slammer and qualifies in this country, you know, should hold their head up and be proud of their achievements.
Yeah.
You know, I actually spoke to the Danini boys today.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're a distributor for a brand of blower belt. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I congratulated them on their achievements with both cars.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding,
Yeah,
you know. To run an 80 with that car, that's incredible. With their limited budget to qualify. I mean, you think about the teams that they knocked out. There's some big teams with some big money, you know. So, you know, watch this space. I mean, if things change with the way the radial racing's going, I think it's a great series, but you know, I don't really. And besides that, they're IHRA tracks, and you know, we kind of made a bit of a pact at the beginning of this that, you know, we'll support the door slammer series, but we're more, towards Andra. Maybe one day it'll go back to Andra.
Yep.
And Andra being the limp biscuits that they are, they'll probably make a radial class. Especially if Rocket decides to sponsor it.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's what you guys, all you radial racers, what you should do is you talk to Graham Cowan about an Aeroflow radial class, because then, you'll get coverage in all the major newspapers, and Andrew will make special rules for you.
This probably lends into Gavin's question. Should WA drag racers hop on board the MX235 class?
Okay, so look, this is a bit of a continuation of that question. You're right. And here is where the problem lies, right? I'm all for us coming up with some sort of class that we can all run in, right? But we need to have a set of rules that we're going to stick to, and we're going to need to weigh the cars and do capacity checks. And as soon as you talk about doing that, you're going to scare 3/4 of the races away, right? Because a lot of them bullshit about how much their cars weigh, and a lot of them bullshit about how big their motors are. You know what I mean? So if you could get all those guys to agree to that, then you might have a chance. But then what's going to happen is when they do conform, they're suddenly going to realise how slow their cars are. Because, the numbers they run in that 235 class are ridiculous. I'm pretty sure they're deep into the fours now.
Yeah.
That's...
Someone went a 6 or something, low 6.
You see what I mean? Like, we can't compete with that,
I could be wrong, but I thought someone went a low 6.
I thought that they were into the 4s over the 8, which, is in the 6s, low 7s, 6s on a 235. That's
I'd have
crazy.
to check, Gavin. I'd have to go over the Radial versus the World at Lights Out 9, but I'm positive someone went 440.
I'll be honest with you. I think that right now, the smartest thing the Motorplex could do is dump the Radial altogether. Dump that class, right? Dump Top Sportsman. Run them all in Super Sedan. Get the numbers up.
Yep.
Right? If the guys... think that they can't be competitive, the lay box is probably about the same price as one of their injectors. You know what I mean? So it's really that simple. If they can't get them up on boost and all of that crap, well, what did you build the car for? If you built it for radial racing, then find somewhere that runs radial racing seriously, not, we'll just grab anyone's car, even if... you think about guys like Kevin Bolton, naturally aspirated street, like he drives that thing like not every day, but he did at one stage drive it every day.
Sale, by the way.
Yeah, well, like how is he meant to compete against a 4-link lightened twin turbo car? There's no parity there, and that's the problem that I got. So then if you say, oh, well, let's run what you brung. Okay, so I'll put a set of radials on my BA, and I'll show up at the track. And then all of you blokes are going to whinge and go, oh, that's not fair. Well, it's not fair to Kevin now, is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that, until you have some sort of parity, until you can nail these guys down and make them commit, that we're going to do capacity checks, we're going to weigh the cars, and we're going to come up with a set of rules, right? Whether they be our own rules or national rules that make it fair, right? Even if it's like, we'll give them, X amount of tenths for, because, the theory is every 100 pounds is a tenth of a second. You know what I mean? So something like Kevin's that's like 38, whatever, 100 pounds up against, one of the other cars down there, say 3,000. Maybe they should give them 8 tenths on the start line. But nonetheless, the next step is, do you run eliminations or do you run this, bullshit format where it's the guy who does the quickest run or whatever?
I think the answer to that is eliminations.
But unfortunately, you got to understand, we live in a society of underachievers. We live in a society where we reward mediocrity. Look up mediocrity if you're born after 2000, right? Mediocre. It means that we reward people because they just showed up, right? And that's because of bad parenting. This is where it all comes from. Like, oh, how come my kid didn't get a gold ribbon? Because he finished last.
Yeah,
right.
But the radial racing has come from a background of it's win or lose. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. That's the whole problem with drag racing right now, is that we're shying away from this eliminations and going to this 3-round format. Oh, because we want all the cars to be out there. Oh, you know, it's hard to get a sponsor. Win some races.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Win some races, and then your car will be in front of the crowd, and then the crowd will go, okay, that team is obviously the best. Instead of going, didn't they just lose? Why are they back out here again?
Yeah.
You know? So this is my opinion about what we need to do. We need to bolster the super sedan class. Get rid of top sportsman, get rid of the radial, put them all in super sedan. If you don't want to run, stiff shit, leave your car at home. So we want to see cars going, like, look at the radial cars in America, the 315 class. They're going 10.9 to 60.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, and then the argument is, yeah, but we haven't got the track to do that. All right, so now we're back to where we started. Put slicks on your car running super sedan. Get on with it.
Yeah.
You know, and for the top sportsman guys, right? Oh, we don't want to race slow cars. Well, I don't know. Go into comp. Build a class car. Bolster the numbers in super stock. Bolster the numbers in competition eliminator. You know what I mean? You want to race backdoor racing? Top sportsman isn't backdoor racing, right? Competition eliminator and super stock is backdoor racing. So, and it's not hard now. It's not like when we were doing it where you had to invent it all yourself. Now you just buy it. You just write a checkbook. So the money that you just spent on your bloody top sportsman car, right? Buy a motor that fits a class and run it in that class. Now you got automatic classes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't need to know about clutches. And at the end of the day, a lot of these top sportsman races, the money that they've spent and the people that they've hired to help the cars go down the track, right? They could have been running in competition eliminator. Could have been running altered production automatic. You know what I mean? So I think that what's happened is we have, as a sport, we've let all these idiots infiltrate and they've ruined it. And now the crowd doesn't get it anymore. They're like, oh. You know, like I reckon if enough people built Toyota Camrys and we found a sponsor, we could go to the Motorplex and go, well, you know, this is bullshit. We don't want to race our front-wheel drive Camrys against the Super Sedan guys or Super Street. We want our own class, you know, Radial Camry. And they'll probably do it. You know what I mean? So I think that radial racing's a cool deal when you're at the level where Stevie Fast and those guys are, the X275, you know, they're all 5-second cars, man.
Yeah.
370s. You got, I mean, the door slammer, go and have a look at the results. I don't know if they even show the half-track results anymore. But, yeah, you'd be surprised how many cars don't even run, you know, the 3-second mark at 660, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I would back, and I don't care what size tyre, you if you want to come up with a class, right, and it's whatever the rules are, then I'll back it, right? But there has to be parity in the rules. You can't have one guy with a 650 cubic inch twin turbo car that's, you know, back halved, this, that, and the other, racing another guy that's got an untubbed Camaro with a naturally aspirated single 4-barrel. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, well, let me guess who's going to win, you know? So just put slicks on, go run in Super Sedan and, you know, cut a light and actually learn the art of drag racing, learn the actual art of, you know, playing the game at the top end, cutting a light, learn to use a practice tree, learn to use weather prediction software or a weather station. If you want to race in a heads-up class, there's top door slammer, right? There's top alcohol. There's classes there for you. You can go and build a car to suit those classes. If you want to race out the back door, there's index classes. You know, you got all the super stock classes. You got the comp. If you want to build a twin turbo car, there's classes now for you to run. They got the AA altered production turbo. Is that what it's called? You know, there's classes there. Like, you all whinged about it. You got your classes, and now none of you running it. You know why? Because you actually have to have a fast car to be competitive. And, you know, like, that's the thing. This is like the supercharged Outlaw deal, right? I think it's a cool class. I've got a lot of customers that run in Outlaws. But when it came out, I said openly, this is going to have an effect on comp, right? Because, you know, and now they've made it even worse. Oh, the Door Slammer guys don't want to run comp. They want to run their own Door Slammer series. And then they wonder why there's only like 4 cars in comp.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, dude, stop letting them dictate. You're the promoter. That's your job, right? They're the racers. If they don't like it, what are they going to do? Stay home. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're still going to race, and they'll whinge about it for a while, but they'll eventually get with the program and they'll run. And, you know, it worked before. I mean, how many times did you go to Ravenswood and you couldn't get in? They sell out.
Yeah.
You know? The Motorplex used to sell out. That meeting where Kapiris ran the 6, I keep talking about it because it just was the typical meeting that we used to see here, you know, and we've got video footage to prove it. Because if you don't have it on video and you don't post it on Facebook, it never happened.
Speaking of that, I actually posted a video that I did in 2010 at the Western Nationals. Even the crowd there was huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
2010.
Yep. And what was it like at the last meeting?
Not good.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
not good.
Because we have watered it down.
Yeah.
We've watered it down. We've got a lot of really good teams. We had fantastic teams running from over east. You know, like huge efforts, all of them, to make the trek over here to WA.
Yeah.
Right? The sport is moving. Like, you go to those regional tracks, which I've done. You go to Adelaide, right? The Andrew tracks. It's pumping, man. People are getting into it. You know, you put a decent race car for sale now. It's in Adelaide within weeks. You know?
Yeah.
So the potential is there for growth. But if you keep on just appeasing people because, you know, they don't want to... The reality is... right, that the reason we have these classes now, and they're not real classes, they're pretend classes. Because, like, if we had radial cars going 370, heck, if we had radial cars going in the Forster half track, right, I would think it was a cool deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we don't. Okay? We don't. And people argue, oh, yeah, but our rules are different. You need to have rails. There's cars with rails running in the 380s in the US. Is there not? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're correct. Yep.
You know, so it's not an argument that you can put forward. And at the end of the day, if you guys are really that into the radial racing, well, then buy a car from the US that's run the numbers. That's all I can really say. But yes, if someone said, yeah, we're going to run 235s, heck, I'll put 26-inch bicycle tyres on my car and race. You know.
Yep.
But don't expect me to get excited if we don't have a set of rules that make sense where there's parity.
Yeah.
You know, I feel sorry for Kevin every time he runs that car because, you know, I know that I told him heaps of times, let's bottle that thing up because it'll go deep into the 8s. Easy. You know what I mean? And at least then it'll kind of be, you know, a bit more competitive. And then if you throw, all right, so it's a V8 with a power adder, right? Let's then throw the weight deal into it and give him a tenth for every 100 pounds. Well, he's probably going to have a very competitive car.
Yeah.
You know? So...
it's a good buy, actually, his car.
how much is he...
I'd rather not say on here, but...
okay.
But it's good
Well, has
buy.
he advertised it?
Yeah, it's out there. But
Well, if he's advertised it, then he's obviously said the price in the ad, yeah?
yeah, he has, yeah. No, you can find it on the internet. I'll tell you later.
Jesus.
It's a good buy. You couldn't build half of that car for what he's selling it for. Not even half. Thanks, Gavin, for your question. Moving along, Michael, should Simon take me for a lap in the Camry? I don't know. Should he?
I'm sure we can organise that.
You
You know what? The extra weight on the passenger side has probably
helps
help
the car.
that wheel spin.
All right, here we go. John actually asked us, if you're going down a river at 5 mile an hour and your canoe loses a wheel, how much pancake mix will it take to re-shingle your roof? Or does it have to be car related? Should I stick with leaves or go 4-link? You got me thinking, Simon. You've obviously spoken with John about his... That's Long Roof John that's asked that question.
Oh, rightio. Well, look, the pancake mix, you're probably going to need about a half a kilo.
He's put some thought into that because
I reckon. I reckon a half a kilo, but you make sure you let it set. All right, it's very important that it sets. The four-link versus the leaf spring deal. You know, I don't really. I'm not biased one way or the other. I think that you can get, and John has gotten leaf springs to work. You know, I think this is more to do with the tyre size deal. And at the end of the day, if you're gonna cut the car, then the four-link is, you know, the way to go. If you're going to put tubs in it, that's the way to go. His argument is that he doesn't want to chop the rails, right? But you still got to make a lot of the componentry to relocate the springs.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a hard deal. If you were class racing, you know, so you're building a car for Mod Street or something. Well, I don't even know now. I heard that the Mod Street cars are allowed four links now, which, you know, which makes them pro mod with a small tyre. But anyway, well, that's what it is. You know, pro street with a small tyre. If you're building it for a class, then the leaf spring. But if you're not, four link it, man. Just get it done.
There you go, John.
Just put a four link in it.
That's an XD wagon for those that don't know. Anyway. Craig asked a question that will probably take 2 hours to answer, but I'm going to answer it on your behalf. Are you racing at this Street Outlaws event that's on the Motorplex calendar? No, we are not, Craig, because that event has been cancelled.
Yeah.
That's from Ray himself.
And there is a rumour.
The May 23rd.
Yeah, there is a rumour that that's been cancelled because some WA racers are going to that Radial event.
Yeah, but they don't conflict, so I don't understand.
No, they do conflict because it's a series.
Oh, okay.
Right? And the second round, if they've got their cars over in Queensland, they're not going to be here.
Look, in fairness to Ray, I want to answer because I've spoken with Ray about this. This is Ray Treasure. He's answered this question. He can't get the numbers to make it happen. Simple as that. So, Craig, if you think...
So what he's saying is that because a couple of guys are going to be in Queensland...
He didn't say that.
Well, that's what he's saying. Because I'll guarantee you, I'm going to put the call out now. If you want the 23rd of May event to happen, right, then start posting stuff on the Motorplex's Facebook page because I reckon that you'll easily get the numbers. I mean, just Jesse and just the guys that ran at Cash Days, you know. I mean, Jesse's been ringing me flat out saying that, like, is it on? Is it on? What can we do to make it happen? He actually said that we should run an event ourselves.
Look, in fairness to Ray, I feel like we're throwing him under the bus, but in fairness to Ray said to us, if we want to run an event, even on a Wednesday night, and we can get the numbers together, he'll give us 2 lanes, staging lanes, that is, and then when we want to run them through, we run them. They'll just shut off the other cars and run us through. So. The offer's there.
Yeah, I know,
to
but
run
this
really event, but it's up to us.
It comes down to whether we want to be, and you know, I'm going to be very open about this. It comes down to whether we want to be promoters or we want to be competitors. Right now,
well, I'm not a competitor.
No, but I.
You are.
You know, well, I haven't raced for a long time, but I'd like to get back into racing, and this kind of thing. I think it suits me because. I think that more people connect. Look, the whole reason that Top Door Slammer was such a great class, and I use the words was, right, was because people could relate to those cars.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
When the Studebakers came out, it kind of, you know, then the Saratoga came out and people were going, what the? Even the Mustangs and Camaros that are coming out now, they look like pro stock cars. They don't look like... You know, Zap's car still looks like a HQ. Victor's car used to look like a 57 Chev. You know what I mean? You can relate to cars like that.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that whatever we do, and this is why I really like Po Tung's deal, right? Because he's bringing that old door slammer back.
Yeah.
It's like steel roof and quarters, boys. So whatever we do, we've got to make it so that it appeals to the crowd. Now... If you were going to sit down and make it so that everyone was happy, you'd end up with one class for every car. You would. Because that's the only way you're going to come up with a set of rules. Because this bloke, he's going to say, oh, the motors need to be no bigger than this big, but the turbos can be this big. And then the other guy over there, he's going to be like, no, you should allow this size because all LS strokers are over 400 cubes.
I'm going to sound like a tape recorder, but that's what Ray said as well. He goes, well, we can't come up with a set of rules that will appease everyone. But he goes, if you want to take that on, you got to knock yourself out.
See, and that's the thing. I agree wholeheartedly, but that should be the reason. He should openly say that there's that many whinging bastards in WA that have got drag cars that are supposed to be street cars when they're really just super sedans with license plates screwed onto them. Half of them aren't even registered, right? That I couldn't possibly consider running this style of event because everyone's going to whinge, you know? And this is where Poe's gone, you know what, boys? Here's the rules. Steel roof and quarter panels. Run where you run.
He's put it open to public commentary, and I've actually tried to contact Poe today, but I've probably left my run a bit late.
But that is how the Street Outlaws. That's what they've come up with. Because I don't think that the drag challenge cars, not drag challenge, sorry, drag week cars, now with these pro mod cars, I don't think that's really in the spirit of.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
Nah.
The VIN number thing. You know, it kind of like you can argue that point. It's got to have a VIN number, right?
Yeah, but how many VIN numbers are actually off that car?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'll go get a wreck.
That's just a
but
that's a joke.
You know, they still anyway. So, but I would like to take it all the way the other way. See, and I'm not the only one that feels this. Once again, it's the silent majority, right? You got the noisy minority that are all happy because they're at the top end in terms of the numbers. You know, they're running the quick times, right? But then you've got the people that are kicking back, and there's a lot of us that are going, you know what? The rules should be like this. The car should be mostly steel, right? You know, the bonnet. The reason you have a fiberglass bonnet is because you can get it out of the way so you can work on the engine. You know what I mean? Like you just lift it off and it's out of the way. The reason you have a fiberglass boot is because you don't want to be jinning around filling your tank up, you know, when there's a boot in the way. You know what I mean? So, and the bumpers, no one wants a cart, you know, 2 ton of steel on an old school car. Right, the new cars have got plastic bumpers. So what difference does it make if you got fiberglass ones on an old car?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I reckon that should be the untubbed, right? Should be standard suspension. If it came out for Tirana, you can box the arms, right? If it's a XD leaf spring, XE box the arms. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like factory style suspension, no aftermarket 4 links. Whatever. The IRS guys, I think that they should be allowed to have some levity because they're dangerous. The factory arms are dangerous. They fold them up, right? So maybe you put a weight brake on. I'm sure that the guys that are running 4 links in the Commodores that have replaced the IRS, they would agree to that. But then you come into another problem. So these guys have got to add weight. Have they got the facility to add weight? Some of them are already going to be heavy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think you could come up with a set of rules that is going to work, but I think there's going to be a lot of cars that think they're going to go down there and donkey stomp everyone, that their cars aren't going to be legal because their cars are a lot lighter than, you know, what would be considered, like I think 3,500 pounds is a good weight, like a good base weight. You know, I think the old X275 rules were a good set of rules, you know, because they kind of they took Mod Street back to where Mod Street started, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's going to be very difficult, and I don't know that, I think that you're going to have a lot of sooks that are going to go, you know, and that's the deal. So maybe there is a way of doing it. Maybe you throw some weight on them if they run 4 links, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some tough cars out there, Nick, that you know, I know I've mentioned his name a couple of times tonight, but Jesse Murphy's Ute, right? 4-door Rodeo Ute, okay? He went 890, and he was off it. Like, he basically shifted into third and lifted, right? Because he didn't realise how quick... that thing there would probably go, and this is where he was at with the tune at that point, right? Probably go an 860, 850, maybe an 840, right? And that's a 4-door Rodeo, you know what I mean? And he drives that car from Perth to Mandurah. That regularly, it's ridiculous. He drives it every day, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's, and I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a 6-cylinder. So when you look at that thing, and it's not light, it's still got the Rodeo chassis. You know what I mean? He's left that. He's put a cross member in and attached a forelink to the cross member. So it's not light.
Yeah.
When you look at that, you sort of go, all right, well, you know, that guy there should be allowed to run less weight because it's a 6-cylinder. It's not a V8. Yeah, all right, put a little bit back for the forelink. But then you look at the numbers and you go, dude, how many cars are going to whinge? And he's run that on Radials.
Yeah.
He's run that. He went down on a Wednesday night and ran it, you know? So parity is the key, and really it's not up to me. If I'm a racer, right, if I'm someone who wants to compete, I'm not the one that should be talking about the rules. Someone, a promoter, needs to sit down and go, well, this is what I reckon, and then put it out for public comment. But the reality is, because of the, you know, you got to understand, drag racing is probably one of the most ego-driven sports on the planet.
Definitely.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to start playing with people's egos, and they're going to get upset really easily, and they're going to sook and cry and whatever, right? So you're going to get a lot of people that aren't going to go to the event just because, oh, you know, whatever, right? And you get a lot of people that are going to want to sway the rules their way. Like Superstock is a classic example of that. Everyone that's on the Andrew committee in WA is trying to get the rules changed to favour themselves. And it's a bit like the Hector Rana story, right? So I'll put the challenge out to our listeners. Anyone that thinks that they can come up with a set of rules that will fit the streetcar deal that we've got going on now, right? You know, come forward with a set of rules, and we'll put it out there. And if you don't want your name mentioned, send us a private message.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't send it to me. Send it to Talk and Power.
Send it to Talk and Power. Yep. Or myself on Facebook.
Yeah.
Nick DeChembry on Facebook as well.
Yeah, you know, we did run an event at Ravenswood many years ago, and the way it worked was, we used the qualifying times as an index, right? So if you ran 10.0 and I ran 9.0 in qualifying, you got a second on the tree to me, right? And then let's say you ran 9.0 on your 10.0 index. The next round, your index became a 9.50.
Yep.
So they halved it, which is how the Superstock system works. You could do something like that, but you would also have to have some way of making sure that they weren't sandbagging.
Yeah.
You know, because it would be easy to sandbag, have a big index advantage, and then you know, run quicker and quicker every pass. But I don't know. It's an interesting one. Next question.
Speaking of indexing, this is a statement, not a question. This is from Frank. Far too many automatic classes in Superstock. Well, Frank, just put an auto in yours as well. I've worked on this gentleman's car. He's got a manual. Put an auto in
He's
that,
got his engine
Frank.
for sale.
Well,
that is dirt cheap.
I know.
That is dirt cheap.
The car's for sale too.
Yeah, I know, and it's a fantastic car. You know, I've told a couple of racers that were looking to step up to, you know, that is the car that I would buy. You know, that was the first. For those of you that don't know, Frank's got a ex-Pro Stock Camaro, and it was the first naturally aspirated car, like overall, altered everything, thing with 4 wheels, dragster. First naturally aspirated car in Australia, right? So first thing on 4 wheels, naturally aspirated, to run a 6, right? And it held the record for quite a number of years.
Yeah.
You know, beautifully built car. Is it a Haas car?
Yeah, it's a Haas car.
It's a genuine Jerry Haas car, and it's the very last of the gas legal Pro Stock cars. So the difference between a gas car and an altered production or Pro Stock car is a gas car needs to have factory roof and quarter panels, right? So that would mean steel in most cases, but that particular model Camaro came with a carbon fibre roof from factory. So it has the factory carbon fibre roof, the factory quarter panels that is gas legal. And I reckon it's a brilliant car. It's got electric shocks, it's got data logger, but the engine in particular, okay, so, you know, we always hear about the bang for buck, the LSs, right? I saw the ad today. One of my customers showed me and he asked me what I thought of it, and I said, dude, this is a steal, right? 358 cube makes 900 plus horsepower, right? 20 grand.
Yeah.
How are you going to build anything?
No, you can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. Not naturally aspirated. Forget it. You know?
I keep telling Frank, just keep it, put an auto in it and race it yourself.
Well, as far as the classes go, they run on different indexes anyway, you know? So, I mean, I don't think that there's enough super stock classes, personally, right? The only thing that I think is important is that we do use the hierarchy system. So if a class that's lower runs quicker, then the quicker class's index and record needs to be reset to, you know, a minimum.
Yeah.
It has to,
Yeah.
you know. But I would encourage people, you know, that have weird combinations that don't want to run in Super Sedan to put together a rule proposal, give it to Andra, and get their cars or, you know, their combination in super stock. Just the same as Jeff and Jamie Chasty did with the LSs. They were the ones that got the LS their own HMS, I believe is the class, their own class in super stock, just like, you know, the Rotary guys did, and so on and so forth. So if you do that, then you don't have to do this dial-in racing, and you can try and run a PB every pass, and that's the whole principle of super stock and comp eliminator racing.
Yeah. Final question on our Facebook feed here. Have you had any further information about the ever-changing rules for registering a car with a modified engine and the 185 kilowatt per tonne rule? No is the answer, but...
Yeah, so there has been meetings between the Street Machine Federation and the Minister for Transport, right? I don't know what's come of it, but I will say this. There was a push for the South Australian minister, which was Labor, right, under the Weatherall government, to meet with our minister, which is
Rita
Safiotti, and come up with a set of rules that followed the South Australian system. Now that there's been a change of government in South Australia, all those brilliant rules that they brought in may well be scrapped.
Yeah, okay.
So they had a $70 registration for street machines on a logbook, right? You don't know what's going to happen, whether that's going to go.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so I when I hear more, I will pass it on. But at this stage, I'll be honest, the reason that I haven't made any noise about it is because sometimes you better just keeping your mouth shut.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we had a bit of commentary about that, so we've sort of not come off it, but yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No. Is that it? Is that all the questions?
That's all the questions. That's our last one. I'm just going to reply here on Facebook to everyone and say thanks. We have done our best to answer all your questions.
So you know, with all this talk of racing and travel and so on and so forth, people coming from overseas, America, and the eastern states coming to Perth have to go through our airport, right? And I don't know if you're aware about this, but there has been some major changes to the Perth airport. So for those of you
I've seen that today on the news.
Yeah, so for those of you that have been to Perth in the past, we had one terminal, which was the international terminal, and then we had the domestic terminal, okay? So if you go right back to like when Nick and I were kids, it was all in the one place, international and domestic. You had one section that was international, one section was domestic. Had those beautiful swans that we used to go and feed.
That's right.
Don't feed the swans. And then they split it, right? And then during the mining boom, the domestic terminal got a bit cramped, so they started these terminals that were like satellite terminals, Skippers Aviation, so on and so forth. Then it got a little bit confusing because we had some domestic terminals at the international airport.
That's correct. Yep, that's
right?
where we're at now, basically.
No. So what's happened now? and anyone that needs to catch a flight, I urge you to check what terminal your plane is leaving from, right? Because what's happened now is, and it makes perfect sense, and I'll get to why it makes perfect sense. So they have extended, right, part of the domestic terminal, okay, to accommodate the new direct flight to London.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Right? In doing that, they've had to move some domestic flights over to the international terminal. So right now, Perth Airport, if you go there, where it used to say domestic terminal, the sign's gone. And where it used to say international terminal, the sign's gone. So there is no structure to where the only thing that you know for sure is that all the Qantas flights leave from the Qantas terminal.
That's correct, yeah. That's correct.
But aside from that, you don't really know where the flights are leaving from.
Well, Virgin Regional's still leaving from T2.
Nick knows this because it's the only one he uses.
Yeah, I go to the airport a fair bit.
Well,
so
look, I went searching for an explanation for this because I thought, well, if you're flying to London direct, wouldn't that be an international flight?
Well, yes, logically.
Logically it is. So why wouldn't you extend the international terminal?
That's a good question you asked. That I don't know the answer to.
And I know the answer. The answer is Kevin Brown, right? He is the CEO of the Perth Airport.
Yep.
And he's Irish. And there is your answer. 100%. So I'm sure that for all our Irish travellers, it makes perfect sense. But for the rest of us, just check your ticket, whatever terminal it gets, whatever it says on there, just get down to that terminal with ample time.
Yeah.
Make sure you have ample time.
That's true. Yep. Hey, just a quick update on the XY then. What do we... I guess we need to discuss what we're doing with the XY. Is it still all systems?
Yeah, okay, so this is where we're at, right?
This is a long podcast, this one, for our listeners.
It is what it is. And you know what? Nick, on the way here, Nick was telling me, I don't know if we got enough content.
Yeah, I said that. And then that's why I thought of the question time.
Anyway, so where we're at with the XY, okay? So I've got the blower back, right? I've dummied it up, okay? As you'll see on the videos, I drew on AutoCAD a idler bracket, and we got it cut, and then we hand finished it, because I'm half analog, half digital. We've got to do things like that. And it fits perfect. But when I designed it, because, we've got a blower off of this and the engine's from here and this is that and the other, I didn't bother to check the blower belt length, right? So, that thing's got like a 13.9 or 14 mil. They're the pulleys that I found lying around. Justin Taylor actually had them, right? And I've put it all on and measured the belt. Now I'm thinking, it's just a toothed belt. I should be able to get one off CBC. Nah, you can't just get one from CBC. So it looks like I need a 1700 belt, right?
Okay.
So that's the length, okay?
Yep.
And I don't think that, I know for sure that such a thing doesn't exist, right? So 1692 is the off-the-shelf measurement, right? Okay, so I don't know that that's going to fit because the idler hits the distributor, right? So we've run into a bit of a...
just picturing that in my head.
Yep. Run into a slight design flaw, my fault entirely, right? So 1750 is the next size up.
Yep.
Okay, now I rang the Danini boys, right? And they're the agent for I forget what the brand was.
Gates, is it?
No, it's not Gates. It's
Okay.
definitely not Gates.
Yep.
Yeah, they're 8mm and they're 1600. That belt you're looking at on the wall.
Yep.
Right. No, it's not Gates. It's a new brand of blower belt. They're a really cool blower belt. They're red on the inside, and they're really awesome construction. They look like a really good thing. So he was emailing the manufacturer to see what was available. I'm going to find out in the next couple of days. If not, I have to take a gamble and order a belt from the US. Now I had a belt that was roughly the right size, and I've loaned it to someone. So if you're that person that I loaned it to, do you think you could drop it back? Because I need it.
There it is.
And the thing is, I didn't realise how expensive these belts were, right? So they're about close to $400 US.
Wow.
For a belt, right? So we've got that problem, okay? As far as everything else goes, my biggest problem at the moment is just time. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but at the moment, I've got an altered that we're nearly finished, and that is racing this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Right? So it's going to go right down to the wire, and Brian from Outlaw Performance needs the car back to finish, plumbing it and a few other bits and pieces. So I've had to, on this particular car, I've had to change it from handbrake to foot brake.
Yep.
Make a footrest and, all the pedal assembly and all of that stuff, make it all work somehow.
Yep.
Fit the EGT sensors to it, make battery mounts for it because it had a weirdo setup, transcooler mounts, make engine plates, fit motor and trans, the list goes on, like, brake lines, blah, 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 etc. So it's just kind of dragged on, and we're sort of running out of time. So I've got that on the burn. I've got, without exaggerating, I must have at least 10 transmissions on the go at the moment. We're waiting on some bits and pieces for those. We actually just got a shipment of parts in today.
Yeah, okay.
So I need to get all this stuff out of the way just so we physically got room to work on it. So we've got to get together again. In amongst this, I'm still juggling being a new dad.
Yeah.
And, so, look, it'll get done when it gets done. Last time we put ourselves under immense pressure to try and get the Camry finished in time. And, we just basically bit off more than we can chew.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. It gets done when it gets done. I still want to get it going because I think it's going to be good for a laugh. Cool. And there's going to be some really cool videos that are going to come out of this, but particularly the way we make the little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. And, all the people that I spoke to Grant from Performance Turbocharging, Turbocharged today, he was having a bit of a chuckle about the whole the Camry deal. Had a lot of really, really positive feedback. I'm sure that guy with the BMW has probably got a hit out on me. I could not believe how expensive those cars are.
Yeah, I was surprised by that as well. I don't really follow the market on that BMW.
I just didn't. I didn't think anyone would pay that sort of money for a car.
If you don't know what we're talking about, we've released episode 4 of the Camry build. That's on YouTube and Facebook. So get on and watch that. And please, for goodness sake, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. If you can, that'd be great. The views are going well, but we're not getting many people subscribing.
So, it's because you need to have a YouTube account to subscribe.
Yeah, I just...
Anyway. So the first video of the XY.
Yeah, that'll be out in probably a week's time, I'd say. That's
Okay.
been cut.
Right.
I've just got to do the recut
Yeah.
as per with some of the changes that we wanted. Got a new sponsor on board as well, Sean Tapper from Taps Race Pipes. So he's come on board to help us out with either the Camry.
You know how we often talk about Eddie running the 8-1 back in the day, and how he had the crew of guys. It's funny that we all went off from that original group. We all went off and started our own businesses. So Tony Arachi Automotives,
Yep.
right? Well, Sean Tapper was the one that mini-tubbed the Commodore.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Jeff Black
Yep.
was the one who built the roll cage.
Yep.
So yeah, it's,
They're all successful guys in their vocations,
that's
aren't
Black Magic Race
they?
Cars.
Yeah, they're doing some great work as well.
Yeah. So it's pretty. When you think about it, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So thanks for Sean for coming on board. Also thanks to Shift Kits Australia, WA Suspensions, Benzene Detailing, All Fast Torque Converters, Monster Torque. Great video that you pointed me to the other day of their premises.
Rob definitely is one of the guys at the cutting edge.
Definitely. Yeah. Overboost as well, Mach 1 air conditioning, Challenge batteries, OTR tyres, Performance turbos, CRD nitrous, and the guys at SCM Performance. So that's it. We're done. Yep.
Feel sorry for anyone who listens to the whole lot. All right.
So question time's been a big hit. We'll have to do that once every 2 weeks when we record. So, all right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, and please get onto our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, like it, share it, and if you can push the subscription up, that'll be really appreciated. Thanks, Simon, for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
No worries. We'll see you soon.
See you on the street.
See ya.
Talk and Power stresses all characters and events on this podcast, even those based on real people, are entirely fictional. All celebrity voices are impersonated poorly. We do not encourage street racing or the use of turbochargers.